I believe that God is doing something special. You can just feel it. And I believe it's special. Because sometimes when things kind of go off, so right now they were just telling me that online completely shut down. Everything that we're seeing here was meant for here. God is trying to speak to us, trying to get our attention. And I believe that God is taking over the service. God is doing something amazing. So what we're going to do is I want to get right into the announcements. I'm going to have Trina come up here. We got a lot of things that are happening here in the church. And I want to let you be aware of it. So anyway, before we even do that, one of the things we always like to do here is we like to acknowledge any first-time guests. If you're a first-time guest here, will you still up your hand? We just want to acknowledge all the first-time guests. First-time guests, yes, welcome. Welcome here. I'm so grateful that you guys are here with us. Listen, service is different every time. We don't know what God is going to do. But what we're about is we want a real encounter with Jesus. And we're always looking for us to have a real relationship with our God. And so everything that we do is designed to not only help us grow, but to grow closer to God. And we have a lot of things happening here at Family Life. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a couple of announcements. Trina's going to go over them that are really important because God is moving right now. So go ahead.
Yes, amen. So the first one is Tuesday is 4th of July, so there will not be prayer here in the main sanctuary. Stay at home, be safe. Please don't be on the news as one of the ones that blew something up. We're praying for healing or something like that. Come on. Be safe on the 4th of July, amen. And then also on Saturday, we have our food pantry and pop-up closet. We're going to have our Costco goods out there. So if you are in need or if you know somebody that is, invite them out next Saturday. It'll be from 10 to 11:30 right out in the front. We'll have food, clothing, and also household items, and that's open to anybody and everybody that is in need. And then we also have our baby dedication coming up on July 16th. There's a class that you need to take on the 12th. You can sign up. When you came in, you should have gotten a handout that has all the information of all the events that are going on. You can sign up there or stop by the Connect Center if you have any other questions. And then we're really excited. Saturday, July 22nd is going to be our Family Life Picnic. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be the first time that we've been able to do this in a really long time. So I just encourage you, set that Saturday aside. We're going to be out at Rainbow Park. We have a beautiful area reserved. And you know how we like to do. We're going to eat good. It's going to be awesome. So just want to encourage you, bring the whole family. We're going to put events together, activities. It's going to be an incredible time. And again, you know, sometimes we're in church, we're just running from here and there and don't really get to just kick back with one another. And so we're going to have a whole Saturday, all of us together, part of the family, just enjoying one another's presence. So I just encourage you to be a part of that. And then we also have some incredible things going on for the youth this summer. Come on, we are so excited. My husband will give more detail on that, but a couple of weeks ago, God put it on his heart, spoke to him to do a youth service. He gave up preaching in here and went over to the chapel to preach to the youth, and 40 kids showed up. And it was really, really powerful. And so we believe so strongly that we have got to invest in this next generation. We have got to do it. We do not have a choice. This is a mandate from God. We need to take care of our next generation. So we have a whole summer of events coming up. There is a handout, all kinds of information. I know he's going to talk a little bit more about it, but this is for 7th through 12th grade. It's going to be incredible. We have some awesome workers that are going to be helping us put things together, and it's going to be incredible for your youth.
Yeah, I just want to share what God put on our heart is that we had to do something. And so what we felt what God told us to do is call this thing called Summer Playlist. Now, you know, I was really praying about if we can organize and take the kids to camp, but camp is like $250 a kid. And I know the situation that many of us are in, and I know it's been tight. And I just really felt in my heart that we needed to do something that was tailor-made for the kids of our church. And so we decided to come up with our own camp called the Good News Summer. Come on, Good News Summer Youth Camp. And hello, somebody, it's going to be exciting. But there's several things on that calendar that's going to have different dates. And all these things are going to be leading up to going to a conference where I feel like God is going to really seal something in the youth. And then we're going to be changing a lot of things in our youth department for that moment on. As you guys know, for many years, I was the youth pastor here. And youth is a big part of the future of our church, a big part of the church, not only of the future, but it's a big part of the church right now. And it's been on my heart, something I've been praying about, like, God, we just want to see revival in the youth. And I believe that this summer playlist, all the different days, we even created a Spotify that we're asking all you teenagers, go on Spotify, scan that QR code, connect and listen to the music that's being selected there, that God is going to speak to us through this event. And so what we're going to do is on July 6th, on July 9th, we have a youth service. On July 16th, we're going to have our mini camp. Mini camp's going to be here 3 nights in a row, and then we're going to have some activities that go out, a youth outing. That's going to be something where it's all together. All these things are connected. All these things are going to speak to you. All these things are going to motivate you. And so it's important that we get our youth connected to that. How many people are in agreement with that? Guys, our church, we're growing, we're building. Everything is kind of like, we're stepping out of this transition, and we're stepping into what our church is supposed to be. And our church is going to be a church where young people can thrive, where young people can find their calling, their destiny, where young people are going to know that they're loved by God, they're loved by us, and that God is their future. They're going to put their trust in the Lord. And I believe that God is going to establish something through this series. And so I know some of your kids say, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Have them come talk to me. I want to encourage them to come. I'm telling you, I had many kids, many youth in my life that were just, I'm not going to go. But when they went, God changed them. And so I encourage you, bring your kids, have them be a part of that. There's a cost for some of it, and because we're going to be doing a lot of different stuff. But don't let money get in the way. If for whatever reason you can't come up, I think it's like $75, and they're going to have all these activities, but don't let money get in the way. And then if you're somebody that says, hey, I want to sponsor somebody, and you feel like you can just give an extra $75, just go ahead and do that. But we're going to take care of these kids. How many with me on that? Come on. I'm excited. I'm excited about what God is doing. So I want to share something with you. We were going to share it last week. And, but you know, even though one of our core values is we're a church of vision, and we say that we're like a mini mega, meaning that might be small in some areas, but with those small things, we still make mega impact. We do big things. We do big things in the kingdom because we have a big God. And this is one of our values, that we're always going to strive and have vision for growth and to stretch ourselves, to walk in faith and to do these things. And so one of the things that happened is that God gave us a building. He gave us a building years ago, and I have no idea. I hope they got the video ready, but I'm going to tell them if they do. If they don't, I'll describe it to you. Everything was acting weird today. And we're kind of short-handed. Jesus, our sound guy, he fell at work. Frankie, he's out in Vegas. I'm out there doing sound, doing this. Feel like I got a flow in the spirit. But I know God he's going to do something amazing. Because even though we might be small in some areas, we're doing mega things. So God put in our hands an abandoned church, a rundown church, a broken down place that I'm talking about was in bad shape. And God put it in our hands. And we started construction over there before we had the money, before we had the plan. But we started taking steps of faith, and we said, we're going to restore this. There was opportunities for us to turn around and sell it. But if we would have sold it, it would have no longer been a church. And the city of San Jose makes it very difficult to open up churches. It makes it very difficult for these things to happen. One day we were sitting down and we were praying, and a few days before that I said, John, I think we're supposed to rent the whole property out, because we were going to divide it up. We were going to rent it out to maybe to multiple churches. But I was like, man, this is a number God put in my heart. And a few days later we had a staff meeting. And as we had a staff meeting, we're sitting there and we're looking out the window, and at that staff meeting, we see some lady looking in the windows, going like this. We're like, what the heck? I said, John, go out there. You go see what's going on. John's a little more gracious than I can be sometimes. I can be a little direct. You know. Anyway, this lady was sent out by her pastor to try to find a church, preferably one that was abandoned. That's basically what they were looking for. And at the time, we weren't finished remodeling, doing our stuff, so maybe our church looked abandoned to them. But there was like nobody in the parking lot, so they're looking in there. And we built this relationship with them, and we just felt connected. We said, and John tells this lady, said, well, you know, this church, we fill it up. But we happen to have a place, But, you know, and you told her it's like scary though, you know, you basically told her. But what's amazing about this situation, is that their whole congregation are like contractors and builders. And I'm not even kidding, I'm not even playing. Like, when they said, hey, we're gonna have some of our contractors and builders come and meet with us. And there's like 30 heads coming through the door. I was like, what the heck? Anyway, we prayed, God gave us some wisdom, some instruction. And we decided to partner with them. And we took the money that we had, and we took the skills that they had. We were able to take something that should have took millions of dollars that we didn't have, and we were able to see it happen. I want to show you this video. This video is going to give you an idea that this place where it looked like before, and the video, the pictures don't do it justice. It was scary. It was like a haunted house, and I'm telling you. Stephen first went in there, he was scared. I was like, Stephen, don't worry, I'll turn the light on for you. It was scary. It was dead bees, dead animals. It was rotting, dog poop everywhere. It was empty food, rotting food. It was abandoned. But God used this congregation of faithful people, not the richest people in the world, but faithful people, to restore something. And that they even tried to sell this before. Man, there's such a story behind this. But we restored something that is a thriving church right now. They're having service. There's over 150 people going to service right now as we speak. And as you guys know, God has always put in my heart, even though I'm the whitest Mexican probably here, to have a heart for the Spanish community. I grew up around the Spanish community, even though I didn't speak the language. I have a heart for it. And it brings me great joy that they're having Spanish service over there. And one day we'll have Spanish service over here. But hey, they're having it over there. So let's see that. I'll tell you. But guys, watch this video. It's going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, what happened over there.
I believe there was a powerful church at one time, but you know, for whatever reason, we get this property and all we find is...
There's no sound guy, guys, so nobody's there to turn it up.
It's just, it's a lot of work. We understand there's work, but what we need is a team of people that come together to make this happen. That's what we're doing.
Look at those dead bees. Look at that. There's junk everywhere, guys. Dirt. Just abandoned. Look at that. Restore. It smelled when you walked in there too, guys. Look at that. This place was termite infested. This stairs, if you would have walked up there, you better pray or you were falling through. Guys, it was turned around, I'm telling you guys. Just overgrown, just weeds everywhere. We filled up like 6 dumpsters of just stuff, of junk, before we even took off anything in the construction project, guys. Come on, can you guys give yourselves a hand? I'll tell you what, even church, where a lot of people would have saw something hopeless and a lot of people might have been discouraged, we embrace every challenge. Doesn't matter how many, how big our congregation was. There was a lot, probably bigger churches in San Jose with more money in the bank that God could have handed that building to. But they gave it to us because we knew that it had to be a church. It had to be restored. The place is on Hope Street, for goodness sake, right? There has to be a church on Hope Street, right? Come on, man. I mean, there's only one Hope Street in the Bay Area, and it's got to be a church on Hope Street. So, you know, I'm so grateful. Listen, we're a church with vision. And when you give, you search your heart, you partner, and you're a part of what God is doing here. You're making impact. You're making a difference. God has brought us together for a reason. And when we remember to give God our portion, God is able to bless us tremendously. And we will see God's will fulfilled on this earth. How many people are agreeing with me? There's more vision to come, guys. Exciting things happening. Wow. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take up the offering this morning. And I'm going to give you a quick word. We're still going to get out of here on time, I know, because we got like snacks for you. We got ice cream on this hot day. But listen, will you guys remain faithful with us on this holiday weekend? A lot going on. And will you trust God? Will you give Him your best? And will you trust God in this situation? So if you need an offering envelope, simply raise up your hands. The ushers are coming right now. They'll put an offering envelope home, and we bring our offering to the front as a sign of surrender. But for some reason, there's no basket here, so you got to go left to the right. God bless you guys, and thank you for your giving. I feel like we're going to need to seal everything that God has done, everything He has spoken, by preaching His word and just leaving you with a little tidbit of the new series we're about to start. Let's pray as we transition. This has been a crazy week, guys, so I can tell you. Crazy service, crazy things that are happening. But I love when it's chaotic, but you know that God is in control because you feel it. So I believe that the Lord has altered what we're doing in this service. And I'm going to give you just a tidbit. Father, we thank you. We thank you, God, for all that you've said and done already. We pray, Lord, that in this moment, this time, that you would speak to us through your word and seal what you've already established in your presence and by your spirit. So we thank you. We open our hearts to you. In Jesus' name. And all God's people said, amen and amen. Come on. We're going to be starting this new series called Preach. And we just came out of a series where we've been really breaking down the teachings of Jesus. Jesus was a rabbi. He was a teacher. And I encourage you, everyone should go back and listen to this series, as God gave us a teaching that was really vital for our personal growth. But I wanted to transition from a time of teaching to begin to preach to you from the heart, so that you know that God not only taught us what we should live, but He's also brought us the truth. He's also empowered us by His Spirit, and He's also demonstrated His love. And so today, one of the important aspects is that everything that you do for the Lord has to involve faith. Everything we do around here in the church is going to have faith. Faith will challenge you to step out of your comfort zone, and faith will cause you to do things that might be out of your character. Yeah. Many of you might know this because you go through my classes or heard me say it over and over again, but you guys got to understand, I was a natural introvert. I was not a person that loved to stand in front of people. I get nervous, I get weird, I feel funny around people. I don't like people in my personal space. I was not going to be somebody that you would select to be a preacher. But when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I'm not the same person that I was in my genetics, in my DNA. I'm not that person anymore. I've been given a new name, a new identity, a new calling, and a new purpose. And the Lord, it's the Spirit of God that caused me to stand up and to preach this good news. It's not because I was the most qualified. It wasn't because I had the most skill. It was because I said, Lord, let your Spirit pour upon me, and I will do whatever you tell me to do. And it starts with faith. Believe it. There was nothing in my background. There was nothing from my lineage. There was nothing from my heritage that said I would be one to preach this gospel. All I have is what the Spirit of God has given me. And this, my friends, is enough. If the Lord would come upon us, that's enough. But it requires faith. Faith. We do things with faith around here. We believe God. We do things before they even started. First thing that I did when I took over the church was remove the carpet off the stage. I waited 10 years, maybe 15 years to rip that carpet up. In fact, the day I walked in and the first day it came up, I said, one day I'm going to tear that carpet right out of here. That was on day one. It took me like 10, 15 years before I could do it. As soon as they said that I was going to be the pastor, I said, go in there and rip up that carpet. We don't got no money in the bank. We don't got nothing. So we'll figure it out. We're going to rip that carpet up by faith. Do these things. Because I have learned over the years that I don't always have enough. But like, God can make it enough. And you say, well, how is that possible? By faith. And we put this in by faith. In fact, what you're going to hear is that we started another, because you guys see that big pile of dirt over there? We're starting another big project by faith. We're going to build a park over here. We're going to install a basketball court, put a new field in, fix our playground. We're going to develop a family area, a park over here. We're going to develop it. And we don't got the money, and we don't even have the plans yet. But by faith, in partnership with the Spanish church, because they got all the equipment, they're contractors, I said, we worked something out with them, and because of the relationship that happened at Hope Street, they got the know-how, they got the ability, and they said, we're going to give you a discount for all the labor and everything that needs to get done. I said, great, let's get started, and we'll figure out when God breathes on us and we can raise the money, we'll finish it. But we're going to start right now by faith. Why are we doing that, Pastor Richard? Why do you do things by faith? Because with all my heart, I want you to learn how to become people that live by faith. Because let me tell you something. For many of you in your situation, you need to learn by faith because you do it every day. Some of you don't even know how you're going to make it to work. You're praying on your empty gas tank. God, make it enough. Stretch this gas right now. You guys are already people of faith. You don't even know it. You just got to learn how to activate that faith to the things of God. And so I do these things because I believe that our property should reflect who we are. And then when we drive up, People should be able to see, oh, that's a family church. How do I know that? They devoted all that land to a park for youth and kids. Our heart is to see youth connect and for you teenagers to get to know each other. I can't get you guys to sometimes talk to each other. Maybe I should just share all your text messages, and maybe that way we can communicate with emojis and hieroglyphics. Maybe I'll get you guys talking. I can't get them all, but one thing that I have learned over the years, roll a basketball hoop out there, and next thing you know, everybody's getting along. Oh, come on, somebody. I don't know if y'all did that. It's a universal language. But and you put a field out there, we're going to get some things going, so we're doing it by faith. So what we've done is we hired an architect, and they're drawing up the plans. Pretty soon I'm going to show you those plans and say, guys, this is what it's going to take to get it done. But I spent these weeks thinking about the teaching of Jesus. But now I'm going to preach to you, because we make the mistake sometimes that preaching just happens on Sunday mornings. That preaching is standing up here in front of a crowd and telling the gospel. But I'm here to tell you that's a mistake. Because we preach the gospel every day with by the way we live. Come on, somebody, you got to hear me. You got to hear me. It's more importantly than what you say, it's what you do. I heard a man of God saying, I don't remember where I first heard it, but it stuck with me over these years. He said to preach the gospel and sometimes use words. Our life is going to speak louder than anything that we can say. And faith is not something we just talk about. It's something you have to start to do. I can sit here and I can talk about all the things we're going to do, all the vision we're going to have. But if I don't put any action behind it, that's not faith. Faith is not just talking about, oh, one day I'm going to be good, I'm going to be a good husband. I know you're trying to speak it into existence, but unless you do something about it, it ain't going to change. Hello, somebody. I can't just talk about the faith is not what you say. Faith is what you do. And so today's message is going to encourage you. I only got like 15 minutes to give it to you. But this is probably all you can handle today. Because the Bible tells us that even if you have the faith the size of mustard seed. So instead of giving you a teaching, I just want to give you a demonstration that God can use your life. Because God takes ordinary people and does extraordinary things. He takes your average person, the person, your high school dropouts, your crystal meth addict like Pastor John, your high school dropout like me, and he puts his spirit upon him. He says, watch what I'm going to do with these guys. It's not the only way he moves. He takes Ivy League, Harvard people, puts a spirit on them, boom, there's somebody else. But what God has done here is he's taken ordinary people and did extraordinary things. He restored a church over on Hope Street through ordinary people. Doing something extraordinary by simply saying by faith. Can I tell you, it would have been a lot easier to sell that building and build the park because we would have had the money. It would have been easy to finish all the construction projects and the development if we would have sold that church. But if we would have sold that building, we may not have pleased the Lord. God would have said, I'll never trust you again with anything. Oh, I don't know if you're all with me. See, some of you, God tries to put something in your hands and you do wrong by it. How can God trust you with something more? You don't know how to live by faith with what he's already given you. How is he going to be able to give you more? See, some of you have to understand that when God has called you out, he has called you to live by faith. Now, there are other people in the world that can go about their lives and it seems like they're blessed and it seems like they're succeeding. But we know that unless they have the Lord, that all the success they can have in the world, they're going to end up in a place that's not too good. And so the Lord wants you to learn how to walk in a place of faith that is leading you to the things of God and it's still going to lead you to heaven. But we got to learn how to be trusted with whatever God puts in our hands. And so I have found that many Christians cannot be trusted with all God wants for them right away. And that's normal. You say, well, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's normal. Because it doesn't matter how old you are. There's some people in here that are 40 years old, but they're still babies. Oh, I'm not talking about them and I'm not talking about their mindset. I'm talking about who they are spiritually. So how can the Lord entrust them with more unless they're willing to mature? Because when we become born again, we become new creations, and it takes time to develop the spirit man and to mature that man. But that person can only mature by faith. And faith is not faith unless it is tested. It's not faith if it's never tested. How many know that's just knowledge? I know that if I know the sun will come up tomorrow. You're not, that's not faith. You know it's going to happen. And so here, I want to give you this word that's going to speak to us, because Jesus came to show us these things. And so I want to preach to you from my heart, as God can take these ordinary people in this room with real problems, and God can use you to not only make a difference in the city of San Jose, but in your family and your own lives. I'm going to teach you a simple truth that we find in James chapter 1. I love the book of James because I believe it's real. If you're from the streets, you'll like the book of James too. It's real. I like it when somebody keeps it real. I don't like the cotton candy, and I don't like the fluff. I like when somebody tells me direct, and they tell me what the truth. And I like the way that James writes. In James chapter 1, this is what he says. He says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." There's something you should know. Turn to your neighbor and say, you should know that you will have trials. Oh, come on, you're afraid to say it. Don't be afraid to say it. You should know. Somebody needs to tell the young people that you're going to have trials. In this life, you're going to face some things. You should know that. But you should also know that you can have joy when you're going through it. Wait a minute. Hold on. What are you talking about? How can you have joy when you're going through it? Well, there's only one way, and that's the presence of the Spirit of the Lord. Joy is not a response to my circumstance. Joy is a blessing that can come from God. Joy is a mindset that God can deposit to you through the Holy Spirit and through your spirit. And that spirit can intercept what's going on in your mind, where your mind and emotions are trying to get you down, and the Spirit can fill you with joy, and all of a sudden that the brain is just like, I don't know why, but I feel good. I feel like praising the Lord. I feel like singing a song. I feel like shouting to God. I don't know why. Well, it's the Spirit coming alive in you by faith. Because what does it do? Well, we know that trials will test your faith. It's a work of faith. Trials activates faith. And faith can produce perseverance. I had to learn the hard way that faith is tested. That some of the hardest times in my life is when God will push me to take some steps of faith. I realize that when things go wrong, I say, God must be doing something. The online's not working, God is doing something. Sound guy's not here, oh, it's going to be good. The worship's going to be off the hook today. So, Pastor, I'm going to jump for the sound. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to boom. What are you going to do, God? You know, when things go the worst, I feel like I'm at my best because I'm like, God, I can't do this. I'm going to yell at everybody. You're going to have to take over. God, I feel like I'm demonstrating it to you today. Everything went wrong this week. We're already short-handed on the holiday week. In fact, I want you to know that I wasn't even supposed to preach this week. I was like, man, I'm going to have finally a few days off. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon me and said, Pastor Richard, you're going to be there. I said, but God, I got a vacation plan. And God said, no, you're going to be there. So faith brings perseverance. And everybody in here needs to learn how to persevere. Because that's the only way to succeed. People ask me all the time, how are you able to run a company, run a church? How are you able to do this stuff? It's because I learned how to walk in faith, and I've learned how to persevere. I learned how to not give up. I learned how to push through hard times. I know when it's dry, I just got to dig deeper for the water. I've learned to persevere and to surrender my heart over to God, to surrender over to His presence, to come into the house of God, not run from the house of God, not run from challenges. When God is challenging me, I don't run from it. I embrace it. I lean into it. I say, God, you're going to have to be with me. Giant is over there trying to mock the people of God. God, you're going to have to give me a weapon. And God will use anything, just like He did with David. Just pick up some stones, pick up some rocks. Here, use this. You don't believe me? Moses, I'm going to send you the most powerful army in the world. You're going to go set my people free. Well, God, what are you going to give me? A tank? An army? I'm going to give you a stick. I'm going to give you this staff. Jesus told his disciples, I'm going to send you out as lambs among the wolves. I said, God, you ain't going to make me a lion? I mean, I'll face some wolves as long as you make me a lion. And God says, I'm the only lion you're ever going to need. Don't worry about that. Y'all understand? I like that better. Because that means I ain't the one going to fight off the wolves. Oh, y'all with me. Y'all with me. See, some of y'all want God to make you something you're not supposed to be, when really, you know, you can be gentle as a dove, you know. But you got your trust in God, you walk in faith, and the Lion of Judah stands behind you. Can't quit. Can't give up. Verse 4 says, let perseverance finish. Say finish. Somebody got to turn to your neighbor and say finish. Finish its work so you may be mature and complete. Oh, maturity. Not lacking anything. Can't quit. Right in the middle of the process. Got a setback. That don't mean give up. See, some of you are tired of having lack in your life. But every time there's lack, you give up. You don't work harder. You don't press in deeper. You run. You say, oh man, it's not for me. But here the scriptures say, let perseverance finish the work. You got to let it continue the process. There's more people right now there's so many people in the house of God that quit right before their breakthrough. Because they've not learned to persevere. They've not learned to stand strong. They've not learned to have the joy of the Lord be their strength. See, we can't let emotions. We can't let circumstances. We can't let economies and governments be our strength. We can't let those things be the thing that guide us, that encourage us. It has to be the joy that comes from the Lord. It has to be the Spirit of God that comes upon us, because that's why He can take ordinary people and He can do extraordinary things by faith, because He knows that whatever you're going through, you're not going to give up.
Yes, amen.
But we don't know what to do. We don't know how. That's Richard. We don't know what to do. Can I tell you something? I didn't know what to do. In the middle of a pandemic, when we took over this church, I didn't know what to do. And the company that is dealing with a pandemic in the electronic industry, and the whole world is shut down. And I don't know what to do. There was no playbook. There was no rules. I didn't know what to do except get on my knees and ask God for help. Because I know when I don't know what to do, He does. It's so simple, right? It's like, oh my God, what are we talking about? We know God knows what to do. But the thing is, we seldom don't know. We know what to do, we know what to pray, but what we don't know what to do is we don't know what to ask.
That's right.
Because a lot of times, when you have a need, you ask for God to fill the need. You say, God, I need you to pay this bill. Right? When you're a kid, you don't know, when you're immature, you don't know how to ask when a baby is born. You don't know how to ask for what you want. So you just cry out. Whatever comes out of your mouth. That's all good. And how many know when you have a good father and He hears your cries, comes a running. Pacifier? Nah! Bottle? Nah! Sniff them? Oh, shoot, that's what it was. Okay, I get it. Now I know why you're crying. But when you mature, how many have ever told their kids, use your words? Tell them they're fit, mature. Tell me what you want. I look at the scriptures. Sick people came to Jesus. Obviously what they wanted. He says, what can I do for you? Oh, I don't know if you're all ready for this. Okay, hold on. We're not ready yet. Okay, wait. Why would Jesus ask? Doesn't He already know? Use your words. You got a lack in your life? God, fill my lack. That's what we ask. I got a need. I need some money. I need some honey. I need a husband. I need a wife. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm out of it today, guys. The whole sermon is out of control. I'm already past our time. I'm not even supposed to be preaching. Hold on. I'm setting this up. for the next verse. What are we supposed to ask for? That means next. There we go. If any of you lacks wisdom. Wait. What are we really lacking? When we have lack. If any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Hold up. Wait a minute. Does that sound like a mature prayer concerning our lack? Yep. Because wisdom is something that can come from God, and wisdom is not just meeting our need, but it's the direction we need so we don't ever end up in that need again. Oh, a little somebody. Because if I got wisdom, I learned how to avoid some things that got me in trouble before. See, I got fired from McDonald's. Y'all don't know this. I couldn't keep a job. In fact, I didn't really get fired. I kind of fired myself by picking a fight with the manager. I won't get into that. So God had to change how I respond to trials, to persecution, to difficulty. I can't keep throwing tantrums. I have to learn how to seek God and ask God for wisdom. What should I do differently? When you approach God by faith, addressing your lack, addressing your trials, not with a mindset of blame, not with a mindset of why is me, why is this happening, but instead say, God, I trust you that through this situation and trial, that number one, you'll still give me joy. And number two, you will give me the strength to persevere. And number three, you will give me the wisdom how to get out of this mess. Yes. Oh, come on. This is what faith can do. Yes. Oh, man. I wish I had time to preach this.
Yes, me too.
If anybody lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives it generously. See, we want God to give generously all the other stuff. But wisdom requires us to act upon what we've learned. I would rather sometimes just have God settle the dispute. God, show up, handle this person, get them out of here, strike them down and smite them with your power. That's what I do when I'm tired, guys. God, you please. But that's not wise, because the Bible says, the same measure which you give something, it's going to come back to you. So I'm over here asking God to punish them for their wrong. Oh. I'm telling God, don't punish me for what I'm wrong. Just punish them. I'm your son, your faithful son, who serves you. They not so much. That's not wise to provoke the Lord. Oh, hello. Same manner in which you give, it's going to come back to you. So where Christians go wrong is that we're seeking the wrong things. And when we're going through a trial, it's all right to cry, to weep, to lay it at the feet of God. But after he's done what he's done like today, and he's picked you up off the ground, and you feel the victory, the prayer that should be coming out of you is not a prayer of despair, but of one that's saying, God, give me wisdom. What can I do to get out of this situation? What do you want from me? Your servant is listening. Come on, you just got to cry out and say, God, your servant is listening. What do you want me to do? And then God will say, I want you to take steps of faith. And you're like, wait a minute. No. God, I'm broke. What do you mean to give more? That don't make no sense. And so we don't look for the wisdom that comes from God. We look for wisdom of somebody that will appease our itching ears. I'm going to go find a person in the church that would agree with me. That Pastor Richard don't know what he's talking about. I'm going to find him in here. Come on, I'm going to get in trouble. When we're seeking wisdom, ask God. Some of you are going to the wrong source of wisdom. Just because they got gray hair doesn't mean they got the right wisdom. Hello, Christopher Robin. The owl doesn't always know what he's talking about. Oh, Okay, here we go. Let's wrap this up. Verse 6. But when you ask, I hate when the scriptures put a but. Oh man. Because that usually puts it back on me. When there's an if, there's a but, there's a you should, or I command you, or something. What that means is God says, look, I can do it, but you got to do your part. And says, but when you ask, you must believe and not doubt. Because the one who doubts is like a wave of sea blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable at all they do. This is a hard scripture. If I wanted to stop at the passage before, I probably could have left it a lighthearted sermon. We could have walked out of here with a smile. But the truth is, this speaks more to our situation and our circumstances. This speaks the truth. And this is what Jesus came to preach. The truth. The truth is not always nice to hear. It's not always makes us feel good. But truth is black or white. There's no gray. It is what it is. And he's saying you need to learn how to ask me for wisdom and stop doubting that I'll give it to you. You have to learn to come to me and trust me that this trial you're in, I'm going to see you through. You may not feel it. You may not feel it in your emotions, but I can lead you through it. And don't doubt this, because when you doubt it, you'll go one day you feel good, the next day you're coming, Pastor Rankin, God doesn't he doesn't love me anymore. Why? Well, he didn't give me what I asked for. Can I tell you, God don't answer all my prayers. Never has. I wish he would. Wish I had that ability, but I don't. I've learned that God is more than able to deliver me. God is more than able to heal me. But I've learned, just like in the Old Testament, just like with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that my God is able to deliver me. But even if he doesn't, I'm never going to bow down. I'm never going to quit. Why am I never going to quit? Because faith has been tested, and perseverance is part of my character. That I don't quit when I don't see the results that I want. Instead, I want to press in. Because I know that it's just a matter of time for my God to say, all right, yes, now's your time. I've learned to keep knocking. I've learned to be obnoxious sometimes in my pursuit of the things of God. I've learned to wrestle with him. I've learned these things because I read them in Scripture. I see people wrestling with God. I see people arguing with God. I see people being real with God. And I try to be those same things. But I've learned I might start with crying. And once God has let me get it out of my system, and his presence has lifted me up out of my despair, I say, okay, God, now what do you want me to do? Pour out your wisdom. See, God, I want your spirit. It gives me joy in the middle of my situation. It gives me strength that I didn't even know I had. It makes me feel relief. But where people stop and where they don't let the work finish is they don't go and seek wisdom now. What should I do differently? See, if you receive something from the Lord today and you walk out of these doors and you go living the same way, doing the same things, hanging out with the same people, reading the same books, watching the same movies, listening to the same music, whatever, you keep doing the same thing, you'll be back here Sunday asking God for the same help. Oh, come on. None of this is in my notes. But if you seek the wisdom of the Lord, and you say, God, not my will, but your will. Give me the heart to persevere. You'll see the breakthrough. I'll wrap it up with this thought. Because this series is going to get good. Because it's not a teaching, it's preaching from the heart. But I want you to walk out of here not unstable, not being tossed to and fro, but knowing that God stopped the service, changed the service, got our attention, poured out His Spirit, promised us, spoke to us in the Word, shut off the online audience so that you know that this was for you and for you alone. He did all those things to demonstrate that you're not alone in your struggle. You're not alone in your trial. You just got to learn to ask God for the right thing. And what you need today is faith. Faith to believe that God is able to deliver you out of this situation. That God is with you. That God is with you even in your trial. You can have joy. And that faith will lead to perseverance. And perseverance will get you to stand firm. And then you'll mature. Then you'll find a strength that says, God, give me wisdom. And when he gives you the wisdom, you'll take the step. It's not always easy taking steps of faith. But wisdom is following God's will and not our own. How many people can say amen to that? Amen to that. Let's leave it right there. Let's leave it right there. Oh no, not right there. The words of Jesus, as he's getting ready to endure the cross, and he's getting ready to do the finished work, he gives this message, he preaches to his disciples. He tells them he's going to go away. And they're going to go out there and they're going to face hardships. It's not going to be easy. That he's going to die. And he's going to leave them. And it's going to be for their benefit. And I'm sure with tears in their eyes, they're hearing Jesus preach. And they're wondering, what's he talking about? Life's going to be hard. And in John chapter 16, Jesus tells us the truth. When he preaches us, he gives us the truth. He says, I've told you these things. And I believe the Spirit of the Lord is speaking this to you right now. He's revealed these things and demonstrated, spoke to your heart right now about your situation. I told you these things so that you may have peace. How many want peace? Oh, hello. He doesn't pull back punches. Changes and preaches the truth. Put it on my heart to let loose and tell you this and preach this way. Not so that you can feel bad and convicted. Not so you can be scared that there's trials waiting for you outdoors. But he said these things so that you may have peace. Because you can have peace knowing that in this world, you will have trouble. It's not, God has not singled you out. God has not punished you for your disobedience. This world is full of trouble. We're going to make mistakes. But he says, take heart. I have overcome the world. Can somebody give the Lord some praise? I know you can overcome because Jesus overcome and came. And Jesus has deposited his Spirit in you. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you for this word. We thank you for this service. We thank you for what you've deposited in our hearts and in our spirit today. That God, that we can go out here and bear fruit. We thank you, God, for the freedom that comes with knowing your word. We thank you for the ability and the faith, God, to make these steps and to make these changes that wisdom instructs us to do. So we thank you, God, for your word. We thank you for what we're about to do. In Jesus' mighty name, can somebody give the Lord some praise in this house today? Today is about celebration. God took this service over. I know it's a little later than usual, but listen, it's Name Tag Sunday. If you need prayer, I'll pray for you. I'd love to connect with you, but I want to encourage you. God has already deposited everything you need. Will you go out there, walk out there, be a blessing to somebody, shake somebody's hand, introduce yourself to somebody. Let's connect, because we are about to embark on more steps of faith here. We're going to build a park. Hello, somebody. I don't know. Build a park over here. And we're about to see God move in a tremendous way. We're seeing revival. God bless you guys. Have a good day. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Those extra days off. God bless you guys. Go enjoy some ice cream on us. It's one of my favorite